The Dallas Cowboys will take on the New York Giants here in week 3. Who is in and who is out for tonight's game? All that and more in this episode of the Locked On Cowboys podcast.
You are Locked On Cowboys, your
Locked
daily Dallas Cowboys podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked on
Cowboys.
Locked on Cowboys.
Welcome back to the Locked On Cowboys podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We want to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. I am Marcus Mosher. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcus_Mosher. He is Landon McCool. Check him out on Twitter at McCoolBCB. Landon, how's it going, sir?
Monday morning on a Monday night football game.
Mm-hmm.
This is our first one of these, which is fun. It's always interesting when the schedule gets mixed up, but it's weird to wake up on a Monday morning and not be talking about the game having just happened. We have still a game to look forward to, so I'm excited to talk about it. There's lots of news that came out this morning.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get to all the news, but it feels like football weather, at least here on the East Coast. It's cold. It's in the 40s. We've got a pot roast in the crock pot. It's time to go, Landon. This is a fun time of the year. Let's get into some of the Cowboys news, and I don't even know where to start. Let's go Jason Peters.
Yeah.
Jason Peters has been signed to the Cowboys 53-man roster. It's been announced that he will be active tonight and that he will play, albeit at left guard. What are your thoughts about that, Landon?
Well, I think you and I talked about this a little bit because we had heard that this could be a possibility at certain points, but I think we had kind of dismissed it. I'm a little shocked. I mean, I got to say, I understand it from the sense of not wanting to move Tyler Smith from left tackle. He's done a good job.
That part
there.
of it makes total sense to me, right?
Absolutely. That part of it makes the most sense. And frankly, maybe that's the most pressing thing here, right? And so from that point of view, I understand. What I don't understand is how Jason Peters agreed to go in and play left guard, having not played left guard, I don't think ever. Or at least, no, that's not true. I think he's played guard before, but it's been well beyond a decade since he's done it. Look, I think I'm going to give the Cowboys a little bit of a benefit of a doubt here, even if I shouldn't, because I think they've taken some time to work Jason Peters in here. He's been given a lot of time, so maybe he signed off on all this. Maybe they've been working towards this sort of situation for a while. But I will say from the outside, it's scary. It reminds me of the situation kind of in reverse with Zach Martin. And I'm just nervous that a 40-year-old guy is being asked to do something that he hasn't really done before, and that's usually a recipe for injury disaster. So, and I guess the other thing that really kind of popped up that doesn't really have to do with this game so much, right, is what happens when Connor McGovern comes back? Like, is Connor McGovern, I mean, the backup and Peters is basically serving as the role that we assume Tyler Smith would be serving in, right? Where he's the left guard and backup left tackle. I just have a lot of questions, I think, at this point.
Yeah. First of all, shout out to PFF. As you were talking, I went and looked up to see if Jason Peters ever played left guard, and he did. He played one snap in 2019 at left guard for the Eagles.
Oh,
it was on a trick play. They ran some wild stuff against the Patriots, but that's it. That's the only snap he has ever played at left guard. In 2020, he did play 106 snaps at right guard. Did not grade out particularly well there. I do think left guard is probably better suited for him just because of the footwork, but still, This is a new position for Jason Peters that he literally has never played in his lifetime, for a full game. It makes me nervous, but I think you nailed it, right? The most important thing here is not getting the most out of Jason Peters or finding the best left guard. It's keeping Tyler Smith at left tackle. Like, it's pretty clear that the Cowboys want him to kind of take that spot.
Yeah, that's a priority. I mean, I think to get him to continue to get snaps there and get good there, I think they probably had a lot of conversations about, like, well, how much better is Jason Peters at left tackle if he is better than Tyler Smith right now? Do we want to figure out a way to improve the situation without having to move Tyler Smith? And they kind of looked at that and then looked at the situation where Connor McGovern was still with his injury, and they came up with this. I don't know is this the long-term solution? I don't know.
There's no way it's the long-term solution, right? Like, to me, this feels like just my gut feeling.
Yeah.
I think they feel like Matt Farniak is such a downgrade from Connor McGovern that if they can put Jason Peters in for 15, 20 snaps to kind of minimize how bad the left guard spot is, that's what they'll do. When Connor McGovern comes back, Peters will slide back to the swing tackle spot. And that way you'll have your best 6 offensive linemen. That's at least the way I feel like this is going to go.
I think there's something to be said for the idea that this could be, game specific for this week, because the threat on this defense, well, I mean, you're getting Ojulari and you're getting Thibodeau back, but they're still, coming off injury. I would say that, most of the threat you would worry about is Lawrence in the middle, some of the interior guys. So,
and remember too, Ojulari is like a speed guy. Like, that's kind of his game. I don't know if you want Jason Peters in his first game.
That's
going against Ojulari. But
so maybe there's something to the idea that they just felt like they wanted Peters to be in there because he is one of their best 5 offensive linemen, but because of wanting to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle, because of the makeup of the defense that they're playing this week, they thought that guard would be the best position for him.
We'll see. It seems like a very fluid situation on the offensive line, to say the least. I'm not really in favor of rotating offensive linemen. I think you and I both kind of feel you need some continuity there, especially like with Tyler Smith. Like, you want somebody that's playing next to him that even if they're not great, he at least kind of knows where they're going to be. Not saying this is going to be bad, but it seems like it could be a recipe for disaster on the offensive line.
I think the disaster, if it happens, is that Peters gets injured. That's my number one concern, is just that he's going to, make a motion or make a move of something that he's not totally comfortable doing because he hasn't played that position for a long time.
At least it's on the left side. At least it's on the left side.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think Duke Merriweather honestly riled up some people by saying negligence, and I don't think he's wrong necessarily at all. But I think that from a Cowboys point of view, I think that the worst case scenario we're looking for is an injury situation with Jason Peters, not so much that he's going to be so detrimental to the offensive line.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break so we can tell you about our next sponsor, BetterHelp. It can be tough sometimes to train your brain to stay in problem-solving mode when you're faced with a challenge in life, but you can learn how to find your own solution, and there's no better feeling than doing that. So a therapist can help you become a better problem solver, making it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or how small. If you're thinking about giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's convenient, it's accessible, it's affordable, and it's available entirely online. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time for any reason at all. When you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can help you get there. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That is betterhelp.com/lockedon. All right, Landon, let's talk about some other kind of injury news that we have for the Cowboys. Let's start with Michael Gallup. We were kind of led to believe all week that things were trending in the right direction for Michael Gallup. He was a full participant in practice. The word was that he was going to play. Then we find out Monday morning, no Michael Gallup tonight. They're going to give him another week. What are your thoughts?
I'm actually kind of okay and happy with this. I feel like the need for Michael Gallup this week is not as strong, just considering who you're facing. And I also think that it shows, it gives me a little bit more faith, right? That they got that close to Gallup getting on the field and then just weren't comfortable with it and pulled it back. It just makes me feel better about the trajectory of his recovery. That they're not afraid to play it, to kind of play it safe when they feel like they need to. So that I think that's good. I don't know if it's a huge loss. Game plan wise, losing Gallup, you probably were only going to see him for a dozen plays at the most anyways.
I mean, we talked about this earlier in the week. Like, I just don't know how good of a fit or great of a fit he is with Cooper Rush, who's not really going to push the ball down the field, who he hasn't worked with at all. I'm fine with it. Plus, we should also mention it's a Monday night game on the road. You have a short turnaround here next week. I just wonder if the Cowboys are looking at this like, hey, let's give them another week of practice and get them ready for week 4 when we know we could maybe play them 25, 30 snaps a game.
Yeah, it's another road game too. We play Washington there, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there is something to that. Yeah, that it's a short week, another travel week. Maybe not the best idea to bring him back on a short week to have to turn around like that to play next week. So,
by the way, I wouldn't be opposed to them holding him out in the Washington game either. I hate Washington's field. There's no sense of him playing the first game on that field.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get ahead of ourselves, but I have a feeling that we're gonna have a pretty mighty bout of Dak watch next week. So I think that will probably coincide with that.
We should also mention Dalton Schultz, very, very questionable for week 3. According to Tom Pelissaro of NFL Media, Dalton Schultz is going to try to go in warm-ups to see how he's feeling. But if not, they're going to activate Sean McEwen. They've already done that today. I don't expect Dalton Schultz in this game. How big of a loss for Dallas is it?
It's a loss for sure. I mean, Dalton is obviously one of the key guys that they focus on in the offense. It didn't feel like Cooper was necessarily targeting him a ton at different points until maybe later in the game. I think that they will still continue to use tight ends pretty heavily, even if Schultz doesn't play in this game. So there will still be a heavy usage of tight ends, I imagine. But I don't know that they'll necessarily focus on one. I mean, I'm sure that with Dalton not there, they'll spread the ball around a little bit to Ferguson, to Hendershot, who I'm sure that will get opportunity or two to catch the ball, and then McEwen as well. I think that it's a serious downgrade between Schultz and Ferguson. Sure. But I think that you can cobble something together. This isn't a very good defense, that they're playing. And so I think that they can find some ways to create some holes in the middle just through scheme and by the gravity of some of the other things. So they just have to be able to take advantage when the ball comes their way.
It's going to be a tough game for the Cowboys offense, though, because of their 8 highest paid players on offense, 5 of them are going to miss this game. Dak Prescott, Tyron Smith, Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup, Connor McGovern. I mean, that's a lot of money that's going to be on the sidelines. I don't know if you can expect a ton from their offense in this game.
Yeah, but money doesn't make plays, man. I mean,
Dak Prescott does.
Dak Prescott does, but again, like this is not an incredibly impressive defense or anything at this point, especially with the injuries that they face. The Cowboys have, you're right, they're missing a lot of their top stars, but I think they have a pretty clean path to run the football well and win this game, with the balanced attack, because I just don't know that this Giants defense, if you keep them guessing, have the horses to, I mean, even with Dallas's offense in the state that it is, to kind of really clamp down on Cowboys offense if they are actually functioning. Now that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
If the Cowboys can't execute, that's on them. But I don't know that anything, in this Giants defense presents to you that you feel like, man, we had to have Dalton Schultz in this game in order to win, or, that sort of thing. There's plenty of opportunities for the Cowboys offense to win here.
The Cowboys offense is going to have to figure out a way. Basically, I'm saying to score 17 points on offense, like with average field position. That's 2 touchdown drives and a field goal drive. Like if you can do that, you're going to keep yourself in this game. I'm going to assume the defense is going to make 1 play in this game to give you a short field or to give you some kind of easy points. But the offense has got to find out, or got to be able to get at least 17 points by themselves, probably, to win this game.
Yeah, and I think they can do that. I mean, I think the offensive line is what makes me feel decent about this. And I know that's hard to believe considering what we've talked about all offseason, but the offensive line has played mostly pretty well. You add in a Jason Peters, so it's going to be basically probably a little bit better, maybe until Peters gets hurt. But I think that, you have an advantage there on the line of scrimmage a little bit. These are 2 not great teams. as they're currently
constructed, right? Like
not as they're currently constructed, right? But I think the Cowboys have more talent, and even with
defense,
even missing all those guys, I still think they have more talent, and that's what I'm hoping will shine through at tonight.
I mean, we can get right into our game preview, but this is a game the defense has to win. It can't be a slow start. It can't be one of those games where, hey, the Giants had an opening score touchdown and they kind of locked them down. No, this has got to be a game The Cowboys defense dominates from the very first possession. Get short fields, create sacks, get turnovers, give your offense, easy points. If you can do that, you can win this game on the road. But if they struggle and they just have a down day and they have penalties and they can't get off the field on third down, that's how you lose a game like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having a hard time, having faith in the Giants offense to consistently move the ball and score. I mean, we haven't seen that. They've played 2 games. I know that they're 2-0, but man, they've played 2 really bad teams when they played them. I think that on offense for the Giants, they still have Saquon Barkley, who's definitely looking a lot better than he has in a long time. You've got a little bit better offensive line play, but not much, to be honest. You're going to see Daniel Jones want to, run the ball a little bit more than we have in the past. Now that Dayball's come in and taken over that offense, they've got Shepard. They've got this kind of out of nowhere wide receiver named Jones, who's coming. His name's Jones, right?
Richie James.
Richie James. Yeah. So they have, and they've got a couple other guys that they just aren't using, Galladay, and that I can understand why they're not using. And then we don't know what we're going to get. Have they ruled out whether or not? I'm sorry,
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah,
he's not playing. No,
he's not playing. So
and even if he did, he wouldn't really play. So
yeah, and even if he did, it would probably just be one play that you'd be holding your breath. Their offense is going to struggle. I think on a play-to-play basis, I think even with the Giant, with the Cowboys. Not even if the Cowboys didn't turn the ball over, which I feel pretty confident they can, because Jones is another guy who's going to take a bunch of sacks. That offensive line is not going to pass protect very well. They are going to want to try to run the ball just to kind of head off some of the pass rush that the Cowboys are going to have. So the Cowboys have got to stop the run early to put the Giants into third and long, second and long situations. And that's where the Cowboys can absolutely have the largest advantage on either side of the ball, right, is when the Giants have to pass the football and the Cowboys are defending the pass. The pass rush will be ferocious against an offensive line that probably won't be able to hold it. Daniel Jones is terrible against the rush. As long as he's not slipping through the front of the pocket and getting huge gains, and then on top of that getting penalties because you're hitting them late or anything like that, the Cowboys will have a major advantage at the most important aspect of the game, and that's passing the football when the Giants are passing the football. So I like the Cowboys' odds against this Giants defense a lot. And I think we can flip around the other side, but I think on that side, I feel very confident about the Cowboys' defense going against this offense.
To me, this game is just going to be, can the Cowboys get to 3rd and 7 on defense, right? Because if they get to 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, the Giants just aren't going to be able to live and be able to be successful in those downs, right? But if the Giants are in 3rd and 1, or they're just not getting the 3rd down at all, that's how you lose this game. The Cowboys should be able to tee off on Daniel Jones on long downs and distances. It's just getting them there. And we know Saquon's playing really well. We know Brian Daboll is one of the more creative play callers in the league. That's what I'll be watching for, because like what Dallas did to Tampa Bay, what they did to the Bengals last week, they are, I think, the best 3rd and long defense in the league because of Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence and the different fronts that Dan Quinn can use and the depth in the secondary. That's where they're awesome. It's just getting there tonight's the only issue.
Yeah, and then again, they're stopping the run, getting there. Like you mentioned, this offensive line is not, as bad as the last week's offensive line has been, and bad as, beat up as week 1's offensive line was at points. This might be the worst offensive line they face. Andrew Thomas has played really, really well. He's come around to kind of earning that spot, his draft pick. But Evan Neal's really kind of
he's a rookie.
Taking his lumps as a rookie. Yeah, nothing wrong, nothing negative about it. Just he's a rookie tackle. And then the 3 interior guys are basically Jags. There's just replacement level players in the interior. So the Cowboys have plenty of opportunity to stop this defense and control the game. Control the Giants offense completely and give opportunity to the Cowboys offense.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and make our score predictions for this game. When I've got to assume we're going to see more points than we saw on Sunday night between the 49ers and Giants, right? Hopefully more in this prime time spot.
Just for viewership reasons you'd hope so, right?
Please. What's your prediction on this game?
I'm going to go Cowboys 21, Giants 14. I think it will be a mostly low-scoring affair. I don't think either one of these offenses are going to look terribly great. I think the difference will be that the Giants defense is not good either, and the Cowboys defense is good. Like, I think the only good unit in this whole thing may be the Cowboys defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a special teams touchdown this week. I wouldn't be surprised if some kind of fluky touchdown happened this week. But I tend to think that the Cowboys are going to be able to mostly control the Giants offense. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was like 21-7 going into the fourth quarter and the Giants scored a late touchdown or something like that, right? I tend to think the Cowboys have the better team. I know they're going on the road. I know they're playing with the backup quarterback, but frankly, so are the Giants. So I think, I'm going to pick the Cowboys. I understand that they're 2-0, but I think if you go back and watch those two games, first of all, one of the teams is the Cowboys have already beat with their backup quarterback, and then second of all, the other team. I don't know. The Panthers week 2 looked about as bad as any team I've seen any individual game so far this season. So and the Giants still barely wanted to win that game.
It's going to be a whiteout though tonight at the Giants game.
Oh, well, never mind. I'm sorry. That's like real quick as a diatribe. I saw the Washington Commanders had their black and wild. I don't know. I called it the black and mild uniforms that they released because they are just very mild to say the least.
Yes. I worry a little bit about Cooper Rush in this game with a new look offensive line because of Wink Martindale, who I think Wink Martindale's a little bit overrated. Like if you have a good quarterback, you can shred that defense because good quarterbacks love facing the blitz. But for young, inexperienced quarterbacks that don't have great arms and aren't super athletic, I think it can give them problems. So for Rush, it's just going to be important to not turn the ball over. Like if it's 3rd and 9 and somebody comes in free, just get down, take the sack, live to fight another day. What you don't want to see is him just throwing up YOLO balls or trying to do too much. That's how the Cowboys lose this game. If they're, down -2 in the turnover department, just don't mess up on offense. I know that sounds really simple, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's interesting too, because you're bringing back in Thibodeau, you're bringing back in Ojulari. This is a Wink Martindale team that has not blitzed a lot the first 2 weeks. And that you're 100% right that Martindale is, that's what he's known for, right?
I gotta believe that's what he's doing tonight, right?
I do too, right? I think that this is the week that he starts to unleash that. My question now becomes, you're bringing in back 2 young starters who have not had a lot of time with their defense. You've already got young starters in your secondary at corner. Could a lot of that stuff backfire? Because as much as you're right, Cooper Rush, facing a blitz will be tough. If you're asking me who knows their system better, Cooper Rush, the Cowboys offense, or these young defenders and that Wink Martindale defense, the bus may come on the defensive side for some of this stuff. So maybe Wink doesn't start doing the blitzing until he absolutely has to, because he may have guys who are inexperienced and kind of operating in these schemes, and there may be bus behind them.
I will say this needs to be a yak game for the Cowboys, right? Like CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, Noah Brown. You are going to get a ton of one-on-one matchups against guys that cannot tackle very well. Adoree Jackson, who I love, can't tackle. Their safeties are very up and down. Their linebackers can't run. Jalen Smith might even play in this game. Like, you need to be able to make plays after the catch. And if we see CeeDee Lamb catch a 4-yard slant and take it 50 yards, that's how you move the ball on offense. That's how you create chunk plays with a backup quarterback. It's going to be up to them to kind of win this game for the Cowboys offense. So I'm going to pick the Giants as per tradition this show. I just think it's going to be probably a really ugly game. And I just worry about the Cowboys having some more turnovers on offense, because you watched the game last week. Cooper Rush could have very easily had like 3 interceptions. I wonder if they get a little bit of negative turnover luck here in week 3. Should be a ton of fun. We want to thank you for, go ahead.
One quick prediction, just because it popped in my head. I'm predicting a long, let's say 20+ yard Peyton Hendershot touchdown. I don't know why.
Okay.
It just popped in my head. So
you mean Sean McEwen, right?
I would have said Sean McEwen if I meant Sean McEwen. I would have let you say Sean McEwen.
That's right. I agree with you. This seems like one of those ones where you get a Peyton Hendershot like leak, right? on a really delayed play, and he's running
like
down
a short
the
pass
sideline.
that he takes. Because when you said yak, that's what I thought. I was like, it just popped in my head suddenly. Hendershot taking a tight end screen or something and just like running through the middle of the defense and all the way to touchdown. So let's see it.
All right. Thank you for making Locked On Cowboys your first listen every day. Now make your second listen to Peacock and Williamson NFL show. Brian Peacock and former NFL scout Matt Williamson gives you the expert NFL analysis in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back tomorrow to review the Cowboys win or maybe loss against the Giants and get ready for a short week against the Washington Commanders here in week 4. It's a fun time. It feels nice to have a Monday night game that kind of matters, because I was pretty down on the Cowboys after week 1. This is at least kind of fun to get.
Yeah, at least there's some juice here. That's what matters, right?
A little bit of juice. So make sure you're following Landon on Twitter at McCoolBCB. I'm at Marcus _Mosher, and we'll see you guys next time.